Yo, welcome back to Amberland, and I am your host, Amber. And it's been a while, couple of weeks, yes. It seems like every time I come back with a new episode, I have a new excuse. No, not the case. It's grinding season, baby. So a lot is going on. Atlanta is wide open, as in nothing has really changed. I realized that Atlanta really reopened like the last week of April of 2020. So literally within the past year, not much will change for this state as far as COVID and reopening. But like I said many times before, I am blessed that I do work at a place where we take that shit incredibly seriously. And Atlanta's taking it seriously too as a whole. I do see a lot of people mask, like everybody has masks. You rarely see people who don't, but still, it's been wide open. It's very interesting. But I ain't mad at it, I guess. But yeah, man. Last week was a challenge. But this week, we back, baby. And it's Thursday, March 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day. Never really cared about it. I respect people who celebrate it. I understand the heritage standpoint of it. And I do understand why it's fun for people to celebrate it. But I'm not too much of a drinker, but I do like to tell my favorite joke on St. Patrick's Day. It's like, I'm not wearing green, but my lungs are green. So, before I get into, it's a lot of fucked up shit. I mean, I told you what the day is, March 18th, so, and I'm in Atlanta, so 2 days after that fuck shit with that fuck nigga. I don't understand how these little young white niggas get the tag, the disenfranchised tag. Like, how are they disenfranchised when them motherfuckers privileged as fuck? Like, this patriarchy is literally designed for upholding not only the patriarchal standards, but also white supremacist standards. So it's just two and two. Yet they're called disenfranchised. I'll get to that, of course, later, because I don't want to just come out, boom, with a dynamite like Wile E. Coyote, but these niggas are wildin' like Wile E. Coyote. So, but before I get into it, I do want to talk about, because the last episode, it was released the day of Coming to America, the second installment of it, of the first one, the classic from 1988. So 33 years later. Yeah, a lot of people said a lot of people were talking a lot of shit about it. A lot of people were not into the actual movie. I didn't really have an issue with it. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was heartfelt, heartwarming, touching, etc. But it definitely wasn't. I mean, we can't compare it to the first one. But to say, I mean, it was, if anything, it was. What I got from it was that Eddie Murphy probably had, like, when he was told that, when he first told the public that he was going to come back with Coming to America, he probably heard a lot of grunts about it, like, oh, we don't need to mess with a classic, and they probably talked about the colorism standpoint, probably talked about the misogynist standpoint, even though Lisa McDowell's character is pretty she was pretty BA. She was badass. She told all the dudes who were talking to her dad, Eric LaSalle's with Jerry Curl ass, when she was engaged to him, and then when Prince Akeem was pursuing her, she told all three of them niggas, like, hey, ain't none of y'all gonna tell me what I'm gonna do with my life. And that was pretty powerful even then, in the late 80s. But it was it was very cool. I guess the words would be like female empowerment. But all I know is that he probably took heed to those criticisms because it's clear that he wanted to make a movie that's really good or close to, you know, close to as good as the original, but he also want to know that he also has 10 kids and he listens to them when they have conversations about things. I mean, seriously, it was very clear that like I saw this and it's like, yeah, this is definitely because when Coming to America came out, he wasn't married, he didn't have kids, or maybe he had one by then, I'm not sure, but maybe he was married to Nicole Murphy by then, but yeah, I mean, he just became such a family man, and that still shows. Even in Dolomite, I mean, yeah, that was rated R, but he still was not, like, I guess people keep wanting the old Eddie Murphy to come back, and people are not realizing that this man is a dad now. So, like, he, as wild as it was when he was talking and he was beefing with Bill Cosby, tell him have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. The tables have turned clearly. But yeah, now he's the dad comic. So, I mean, Coming to America was rated R back then, and then this one was rated PG-13. So, I mean, people just wanted so much out of it, have so many high expectations, but I noticed that the main ones who were upset were the younger generation. And then the ones who were like, yeah, I loved it, was like my age and up. So I don't know. And the Gen Xers, yeah, they really loved it. So I mean, my thing is I don't mind a bad movie if it's still uplifting, I mean, I don't mind that shit. And it was good to see Leslie Jones play. I mean, she played a really good character. She was you never see her as a mom, so it was really cute seeing it was just cool, and it was good seeing her in a very what's the word? I mean, just seeing her in a really good light, flattering. Seeing her in a flattering light. Like it was good. It was good seeing her. The makeup was on point, and then the lady who plays Lisa McDowell, Cherie, yeah, her. Cherie McDaniel. I know. I'm not doing. I'm refraining from just. I'm gonna start just recording and not have I need to turn my journalist brain off really, because I put so much effort in trying to remember all the facts and the figures and the dates and the names, and it's like you all are grown. Just all I'm gonna give y'all is the gist of the facts, and then y'all look up the rest. That's what I'm gonna start doing now. Treat it like a Hollywood biopic. Just kidding. Don't like the word biopic. It's biopic. Just say it like it is. Anyway, yeah, so Coming to America was cool. I did not see the Meghan Markle interview because it aired literally during the NBA All-Star game. I was too busy watching the NBA All-Star game, as well as had a couple of my friends over, had some wings and things. Shout out to my homies Sabrina and Reggie, because yeah, it was a good black ass time. We watching basketball, talking about black ass shit, eating black ass food, so it was fun. But yeah, I did not once turn it on the interview because, I knew they were going to air it, or there was going to be clips aired anyways. But I just never cared about the royal shit. I never cared about the royal family. Even during the Princess Di era, may she rest in peace, because that was fucked up. I just never understood why we as Americans were obsessed with British royalty, especially black people. I'm like, no, I'm good on knowing who, I just feel like monarchy, that's just a very, I'm not going to say too much else about it other than I just never cared. And therefore, I didn't watch the interview, but I did see some of the clips, and It was first of all, I don't know why Oprah had to open the interview by putting her on blast. She's like, "Yeah, I remember I tried to have an interview with you last time, but you had to decline. You were very polite about it, but you had to decline because you were so busy." She's like, "Yeah, because then I had to be so tight-lipped about everything, and I just, I had to follow all these I mean, it's very rigid. If they gave Princess Diana a hard time, and she looked like them. Like she was blonde, she was tall, blonde, blue eyed, and they beefed with her nonstop. And she had an interview as well back in the day. And though I don't know if they weren't really calling her interview what they were calling Meghan Markle. They were calling it her. They were saying a bombshell interview, and then they were saying her most toxic allegations were the well well one was of course the um about the conversation of whether she and Prince Harry's child would be too dark. And then there was Megan talked about how she had suicidal thoughts because she felt like she was better off dead than dealing with all the pressure they were putting on her. And then the whole incident about how she so-called made her Sarah, what's that girl's name? Kate Middleton, made her whatever. Something about making a bitch cry, but she didn't. It was the other way around. The bitch made her cry. I don't know. All this to say, I don't really care about what Buckingham Palace or any of them motherfuckers got to say. I definitely believe Meghan Markle, and I was very pleased that she left that shit as immediate as she did, but also stayed married to Prince Harry. I fucked with that hard. I never liked that whole idea. I didn't watch the wedding. People were so upset. They're like, "We got a black princess." It's like, yeah, but I don't even know if she looked happy about this shit. And I was there. I was like, we wait on that. And then, I mean, I don't even know it lasted a year when she was in the palace with them. No, like, I'm sure there was too much pressure. And then the conversations about whether her child's going to be too dark, like, nah, that's too much. So, and Prince Harry said he's never going to disclose details of that conversation ever. And I respect the shit out of that because that's just already enough to know. So, but there's been some riff of it because this Piers Morgan guy, I think I only know him because I think he took over Larry King live briefly, and I was like, who the fuck is this chode? And then after that, he just started showing his even chodier colors. I mean, he's such a racist piece of shit. He's like, I'm sorry, I don't believe what she says. Like, who fucking asked you, you punk? And then he apparently was so heated about it that he stormed off the set. He's like, it's despicable how she's depicting our royalty, British royalty. And then he said that he didn't believe her when she said she had suicidal thoughts. And then Sharon Osbourne, old melted face. Like, she looked like a melted wax doll. I never understood the whole Osbourne thing either. I hated that reality TV show, too. I mean, it's like, Kelly Osbourne got a song called Papa Don't Preach. More like Daughter Don't Sing. Like, that's one of my haters, bro. Hey. No, and then even Kelly Osbourne said some dumb shit back in the day. Like, when Trump was running for president, it was all on that anti-Hispanic Latino rhetoric. And she's like, oh, so you don't like Latinos, Donald Trump? Then who's going to be cleaning your toilet? And then Rosie Perez like, no, that's not. And everybody was like, no, that's not. And she was like, no, that's not what I meant. And it's like, ooh. But anyways, so even Kelly Osbourne said some dumb shit. But Sharon, she got into it like really, really upset with Cheryl Underwood, who was so calm with her. She's like, "Girl, let's go to commercial break. I got time for this foolishness." Only to come back to more of Sharon Osbourne's. How am I racist? He didn't say anything racist. People, and now she ain't got no job. I mean, people just would die on some dumb hill just so they can. I'm not racist, but you're so adamant on how you're so adamant in dismissing black people's testimony when they when testimonials when they're talking about what they go through, like, and that's how we keep getting all this fucked up shit happening. It's all everything keeps blowing up. Like, it just anyway. I'm so over all this dumb shit, and then of course with they come back with the apologies. I did to any person of color. No, it's not about people of color. It's about black people. Stop doing that. Just like with this fucked up shit that happened in Atlanta and in outskirts, Cherokee County and Fulton County. No, they were not. Yes, they're people of color, but this is an Asian situation. This is an This is an anti-Asian issue. Like, we can be all for the cause for all of them, but right now when it comes to this shit, it's some. I talked about it last episode. There's some anti-Asian crimes, like hate crimes, are really on the rise. And of course, they're not gonna call it hate crimes because I guess there's too much paperwork for these cops to call a spade a spade. It's just such tomfoolery. But yeah, these people will just continue to swear they would do anything to keep their whiteness, but don't dare call them racist for it. Fuck out of here. Let me move on because I ain't got time to waste about these dumb motherfuckers. I got things to do, as in live my life and also talk about some shit that's really what's going on that matters. But before I do that, we'll talk about the All-Star game just briefly. Yeah, all that shit was happening here, and I guess they ended up letting some fans in. So I don't know. I kind of would have liked to have gone to that. I ain't even going front. I definitely did not partake in any All-Star game festivities. I was a good little girl and just drank my hot tea and watched my TV at home. But yeah, the All-Star game was cool. Anthony Simons. I mean, I love that his name is Anthony, of course, but I mean, it was cool. I guess it was because he had mad hops in the whole dunking contest. So I guess, yeah, it was cool. I just felt like the best dunkers were participating in a 3-point contest, and then Steph Curry went in on that shit. But I'm kind of annoyed that people were, I fucks with Steph Curry, but Dame Dollar actually shot from behind the half court line. Steph Curry did it right after Dame did that. Steph did his own version, but he was inside the half court line. So, and I thought Dame Dollar was going to get the MVP, but Giannis, your boy Giannis, man, from the Bucks, he went 16 for 16. I mean, he scored over 30 with a perfect, legitimate 100% field goal percentage. There's no topping that. And it just it's cool because, so yeah, Giannis definitely won an All-Star MVP, but this nigga might get a 3-peat MVP, yo. Like, for real. And it's funny. Well, not funny, but it's interesting to see because I think the MVP race is going to be just like how it was with the All-Star MVP. Like, it's going to go down. It's going to be narrowed down to Dame Dollar and Giannis. If they both stay healthy, of course. It's always that asterisk to keep an eye on. But the All-Star game was cool. I really am over this whole Team LeBron, Team Durant, or however they do it. The whole, as my dad called it, it's like the Sandlot, as in they just get two captains. Okay, you, which is cool, I guess, but it's like, we grown ass motherfuckers. We voted for these mugs. Just do East-West, like how it was. What are we doing? whatever. Uh, the break though, the post break has been good. Mm, Lamelo Ball been going off. Lonzo too. Actually, been balling as well. Anthony Edwards, he still got the ups. I think it's gonna go down. It's gonna boil down to Edwards and Ball. Like I think, but Lamelo Ball would most likely win. It's just this dude's a beast. But they just lost to the Nuggets. The Nuggets they looking good. They gonna give the Jazz a run for their money. I think that's probably gonna be it might be well, no, there's the Lakers too, but hey, it could be, well, maybe the semifinals it'll be the Nuggets and the Jazz, because I think it's gonna be the Jazz and the Lakers in the West Coast Conference Finals. But I mean, the playoffs gonna be starting in the next month or so, so I think the Hawks are gonna make it. They're gonna be like the 7th or 8th seed. Uh, if there's gonna be playoff games here, I'm definitely gonna go. Especially if they play the Nets, because if they're 8th seed, it'd probably be against the Nets or the Sixers, which would be cool too. Oh yeah, Joel Embiid, he's getting a lot of he's getting a lot of MVP whispers too. A lot of people saying he gonna probably win MVP. He ain't been playing like one. I mean, he's literally the process. Like I remember when he got drafted, I was like, oh no, not. I was thinking he was gonna be another Greg Oden, and that he was too thin. Like he was too thin for the, like, not bulky enough for the league yet, and he was hurt, and that's why he was hurt for a while, because he just was not developed enough yet physically as well to handle um, NBA strength. But 2 years later, bro, it's just, and then because it was his first year, he was rookie, so rookie of the year. Shout out to Joe Embiid, man. He literally trusts the process. I love that the process is his nickname. It should be, because the Sixers believed in him, and then look at the Sixers now. Like they in there, so they're gonna be in the. I think they have a chance to get to the conference finals. But East is getting. I mean, the Pacers, they scrappy too. I mean, I think the East, they're not just. I don't think the East is too weak. Like a lot of people say, a lot of critics say. I think they can handle the West Coast. I think Steve Nash is applying a lot of pressure on these. Well, it's not just Steve Nash though, because you also have Doc Rivers, who, yeah, he did start out with the Celtics and he had East Coast game, but I think he transitioned well when he went to the Clippers as a coach, and I think he meshed well with keeping up with the West Coast offense too. And so you got two coaches who have West Coast offense experience, with Steve Nash at the Brooklyn Nets as well as Doc Rivers at the Sixers. And of course, that's why the motherfucker's good, because you got Doc Rivers. I don't know, man. I mean, it's gonna be good. I mean, and then you got the Celtics. I mean, they in there as well. You can't deny the greatness of Jaylen Brown, and then Jason Tatum is really going in, and then you got Kemba Walker, who I think is such a reliable guard, such a reliable point guard. I mean, he's gonna always be confident enough to drive to the hole and get buckets, and then if he don't make the shit, he gonna get to the free throw line. So, yeah, you got a lot of really good teams in the East to look out for. So, I don't know. I mean, it's still pretty early into the season, so I can do my mid-season prediction. But yeah, I do think it's going to be the Jazz and the Lakers in the conference finals on the West, and then you're gonna have. I really do think, depending on the seeding, but I think it's gonna be the Celtics, and I mean, not Celtics, my bad. I think it's gonna be the Sixers and the Nets, and if not, the Celtics and the Sixers. I think the Sixers are gonna go regardless. All right, so I am excited because I talk about this woman so much, and I attribute a lot of my growth to learning from all of her Instagram posts and other things. And now I'm gonna learn even more because I got her book. Look at this bad boy. So it's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And then this is her name, Nidra Glover Tawwab. So, a guide to reclaiming yourself. And she talks a lot about really important things. And one of them is a hot button topic, boundaries. So, I am excited about this. And there's another book that I do want to buy from Nicole LePera. She's known as the holistic psychologist on Instagram, and she's like Nidra. She's one of the verified Instagram psychologists who also do a lot of guide to guide Instagram posts, and she's #1 best seller right now on New York Times. And so I want to get hers too. And she does a lot about trauma bonds and like different type of bonds and inner child things. But with Nidra, she does a lot about boundaries and why they are so important. And I just want to highlight some of the things that I know. I feel like Oprah. I'm like, this is so exciting. So, boundaries. This is her definition. Boundaries are expectations and needs that help you feel safe and comfortable in your relationships. So, and then she has some examples, and then, so like understanding them is, of course, like, again, you got a way to feel safe. And they are a safeguard to overextending yourself. They are a self-care practice. So self-care is more than, going to the spa or exercising, jogging, hiking. It's just also just having peace with yourself and keeping that centered. They define roles in relationships. So, because there's times where we in our, friendships or relationships with, romantically or with our relatives, family members and all that. And a lot of the times they don't know how to address you because you're not defining a certain boundary. Like, hey, I appreciate it if you wouldn't do this, and that's how people know the roles. They are a way to create clarity. They are a way to create healthy relationships. I mean, this is a long list. But my favorite definition she gives is, it is a cue about how to treat you. So, yeah. And I'm just on page, I'm only on the first 10 pages because I just got it this week. Very, very lucky that I was able to pre-order it, and I got it the day that it was released, which was March 16th, this past Tuesday. So shout out to Nidra Glover Tawwab. I really am excited for you, and I think you're going to be up there as well in the New York Times bestseller list as well, because we are all excited for you. I mean, they're important because I'll put it this way. So there's this, I saw something that was the funniest, and it was talking about a cancer, how to make a cancer, the zodiac sign, how to make a cancer mad, and that it said crossing the one boundary. Because we really don't have boundaries, and I've just always been a people pleaser, and then because I always use comedy as a coping mechanism and defense mechanism, I just always had a lot of enmeshed relationships, and then that there was just codependent to a point where it's just enmeshed into entangled, pretty much. It's like emotions are entangled, and you're just like, fuck, how do I get out of this shit? And because I never define any type of roles that I want for them to have in my life. So now you have people who think that they're more significant to you than, there's just certain times of people, I guess I'm using it as I'm making it too broad. The example I'm really saying is that once I started doing stand-up comedy, I started meeting people who were fans, and they were just like, hey, I really enjoyed your show. Hey, I would like to hang, hey, let's hang out. Let's smoke some weed, and that's like the easiest way. Being a pothead literally is the easiest way to have enmeshed friendships because you have that one common denominator that is one thing that's gonna keep you close because hey, not everybody smokes weed, and so you meet someone that likes to do that shit, and then they like to share it, and y'all can go back. Y'all can, hey man, let me match one. You know what I'm saying? Everybody get their relos back when you was smoking Reginald's. Not no more, baby. And so now you get if you like me, you get your organic hemp with the filtered tips. Yeah, I don't do that gut and tobacco anymore unless somebody got backwoods and I'm like, all right, but I ain't gonna roll it because I don't know how. So yeah, I'm not really so yeah, like that's how it was. Just the easiest way to have different type of people in my life. I'm like, wait a minute, how did you get up in my life like that? And I'm just like, I felt like early Dre, like, who the fuck are y'all? So, yeah, I mean, I was like, who are these people in my face that I just allowed in my space? Man. And I had to learn, like, once I got older, like, especially when I hit that Jesus age, that 33, that was such a pivotal moment in my life because I'm like, man, I'm burnt out. Like, why am I so burnt out and overwhelmed all the time? Like, and then why is my anxiety flaring up like crazy? Cause I used to have really, really bad anxiety, and then I like tackled it and got really good at it, and that's how I was able to start doing stand-up comedy as well as hosting my shows because that was the only way I would be able to see that shit is like put my anxiety in check, and even that shit was coming back. I was like, why? And I realized, oh, there are friendships that I have where I would hang out with them and I feel drained as fuck. Why am I still hanging out with them? Oh, well, I don't want to I feel bad. I don't want them thinking that. No. Fuck that. Look, if it's not like this, if it's not like Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, I don't want it, okay? Like, if you ain't alien to my oop, I don't want it. Like, we gotta boom shakalaka or I can't fuck with it. And there was just so many relationships and friendships that I had where I'm like, oh, I can just let this weed themselves out or I can just completely cut it off because this is not serving me in any kind of way, but it's serving them in all the ways because they get entertainment and they get weed, like, of course. Like, and then on top of that, they are around someone who they think is, I mean, yeah, I am flattered and I appreciate that you think I'm a good person and you appreciate my energy, but you can appreciate that shit without draining me. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to drain my energy in order to have a good time with me. And I had to find that out the hard way, which I'm glad I found out regardless, because it doesn't matter. Lessons are beautiful no matter how they come. And so, all that to say, boundaries are very, very important because this is how it leads to what I'm going to talk about now, which is the timeout. So, eight women were killed, all of Asian descent, and one male who's a lone survivor right now. He's in the hospital. He was a Latin descent, and 4 were killed in Cherokee County, and then 4 killed in Atlanta, Fulton County. This is where I 8 victims. We knew I refuse to say the shooter's name because the media told the media is completely complicit in this whole bullshit. They told us his name, age, where he's from, and his fetishes and temptations and vices. Like, we knew we knew that he shot up. We knew that he was just having a really bad day. That's just it. That's what the fucking white motherfucker said on the press conference, the white sheriff. And then you got the black cops talking about how he wanted to eliminate eliminate the temptation by shooting up massage parlors and killing Asian women because he had a fetish of them and he knew he couldn't have them. So we're supposed to empathize and sympathize over some young, angry, white incel motherfucker because he don't know how to fuck. That's our fault. That he doesn't know how to talk to a woman without having predatory thoughts. So he kills 8 random women who just went to work. He just had a bad day. And because he just had a bad day, but they were just going to work. But it's their fault because they worked at a place that was of temptation. Like whether it was a massage parlor that made you feel good or it was a massage parlor that made you feel good. It does not matter, sex worker or not. It doesn't matter what they were doing. I mean, because how the media is portraying it was the massage parlors that had the so-called happy endings. But either way, they're doing their jobs. Like if they're whether there was, and that's the thing, and that's what's upsetting is how the media is portraying it. Because we knew about this motherfucker's fetishes, they portraying it as like, oh, I mean, I read it first as, oh, they're working at a spa and a massage parlor. Oh, that's fucked up. But because how the media is shitty, they're like, well, this angry white dude has a fetish for Asian women, so this massage parlor must have been special. Like, so you dealing with all that already, and I'm upset about it. I mean, my heart is aching for all of my Asian friends and family, man. Like I'm blessed, I guess, cause I shout out to Haywood Elementary in Antioch, Tennessee, because when I was 8 and I transferred there, I felt out of place because I was, you're transferring in the middle of school year as a 3rd grade, and you have one more year left, and this elementary school that I went to, because it was like K through 4, and then I went through 5 through 6. Anyway, national education school is different. Anyway, and my 3rd grade class to this day, like I always wonder how they are because it was the most diverse class I ever had, and that was when I learned different nationalities and ethnicities, and I had 3 different Asian friends in there, and they were from different countries. One was from Thailand, one was from Laos, and one was from Vietnam. And my Vietnamese friend, I think about her still because I never forgot how, like, because we were close then, and I remember one day I found out like about her mom because her dad always picked her up, and I said, why don't I ever see your mom? Kids, right? And she told me, because it wasn't my 3rd grade class, my fault, I meant my 4th grade class. Anyway, she told me that, yeah, I mean, so her mom was she was killed in a home invasion. So she was killed in her own home because they wanted to rob and steal. And they even did a reenactment of it. And I remember like after that was released on the local news channel, like they were, cause it was a really sad story, and it was a cold, like no one, I mean, it was starting to become a cold case, and so they did, how the news do when they reenact a tragedy that they're still trying to find answers to because it's a mystery. So after that aired, I don't even remember. I remember like she kind of kept quiet, my friend, and so I just remember then as a 9-year-old, like, I can't even imagine coming. Like, I transferred to a different school, and I had hella anxiety. I was like, oh my God. But there was at least, and it wasn't just the Asian friends in there. It was also, Latino kids there and African kids there too. So I'm like, that was the first time I was exposed to um, kids who are children who were first generation of immigrants or also immigrants of themselves. And me thinking, man, I don't even know. Like, I left one neighborhood to a different neighborhood, one school to a different school, and I was like, I don't know oh, fuck, man. Anxiety. They had to transfer from a different country, leaving their native language, native culture, traditions to come to this bullshit ass motherfucker dealing with, and they got to be called, African booty scratchers and all kinds of shit, like, or cause that was something I heard, or as my good friend who I went to college. I've talked about one of my really really close friends. Her parents immigrated from Vietnam, and as well as her older brother, and she was born in America, and so even as American, and that's her native language is English, but she recently shared an experience of how when she was just at lunch minding her business, and this was high school. This little girl she should have known better by then. Like, if I had known by 9 that, cause like I'm thinking, my little friend's mom immigrated from a whole ass country to a different country, thinking that it was going to be better for her, only to be killed in her own home. So that stuck with me. And so, but also, just being different and being a smart black girl, from the ghetto, but defying all the odds. And also, being a smart kid. So that's also how. Because that's the thing, is like, I related to them in multiple ways in that, like, knowing what it's like to transfer, but like still it's like nowhere near a degree of seriousness coming from a different country to another one. But it was always that, and then also we were always in a lot of the same courses because honors AP courses. And then another thing that come from, people from other countries are smarter than our goofy asses in America, man. So, when you're a smart American kid, all you do, you thinking you doing something, and then the kid from India, the kid from China, the kid from Japan, the kid from Thailand, the kid from Nigeria. All I'm saying is a lot of them way smart. We lucky if we in the top 8, baby. Like, and so I've learned a lot from them, and so I just never understood the whole concept. Like, as I was mentioning, my friend Maya was saying that this girl came up to her and said, "I hear you people already fucked up. I hear you people eat cats and dogs." I've had people try to, like, every time I would defend, I was like, I don't believe you. I don't care. They'd be like, yeah, no, it's true. And I'm like, well, even if it is true, who gives a goddamn fuck? Like, who the fuck cares? But also, no, like, get out of here. But it's like so many things. I'm like, people eat what they eat, as long as nobody's eating people, that's the only thing. But as far as people eat, like, there's poor people in America who eat rats and squirrels. Like, I don't understand. But also, who the fuck are you to come up to somebody and be like, you eat cats and dogs? Don't eat my pet. Like, what? Get out of here with that shit. And that type of shit is like, of course I understand when you're the victim, you let shit slide because you don't want to be a victim. You don't want to believe that happened to you. It's not their fault that they let the shit slide. But if we witness that shit and we let that shit slide and we laugh, it's fucked up. And that was just something I just never I mean, I will say I'm very blessed that I learned young. It's because I learned young and I was exposed to it young that I just never, it never crossed my mind to be like, even that terrible ass song, yo. I'm not even gonna do it, but it's like Chinese, Japanese, and it starts with that, and you know how that bullshit racist shit goes. Not even gonna describe it more. But even as a kid, you know, you learn that shit. It's like, this is how you tell the difference between a Chinese person and a Japanese person. And they do that terrible ass song. I'm like, who's coming up with this shit? Like, all I know is that I'm learning about how people were racist against our black ass. So why would I even want to try to find someone else to treat them like that? Like, I never understood that shit. I just never, it never crossed my mind. So yeah, so none of that shit I couldn't ever let slide. I mean, and then I mean, constantly, I still to this day have to educate people sometimes. Like older black people, they still be on that shit. You know, they be like Oriental. And I say, you talking about rugs or cuisines? Because if you talking about a whole ass human, I ain't gonna listen to this conversation anymore. Like I'm not gonna be a part of it. You're gonna call them either if you know their actual nationality, ethnicity, boom. But otherwise, just say Asian and move on. But it's just these types of things. This is how it ends up with this hate. And now we got this crazy motherfucker who, you know, I mean, who knows what fucking shit he's been saying. And now he acted up on it and he was only 21. How fucking mad can you be, little bruh? Fuck you. I don't care what happened to this little nigga. As long as he gets justice, as long as justice gets served, rather, like these victims get justice. As long as, I mean, this brother does not need to see daylight for more than 1 hour a day. Like, he should be in jail for the rest of his life. There's no 8 counts of murder. He's never going to see his son again. Except for that 1 hour per day and then 23 hours in solitude. Fuck that motherfucker. He doesn't deserve any type of company. Fuck him. Like, it's just such bullshit. And, I mean, we're sitting here. These motherfuckers they're being more compassionate. They were more compassionate about his fetishes and vices and him fighting temptation than the victims. We didn't even know the victims' names until later. Like, I just found out before recording, and it's still only saw 4 of the 8, so it's still pending. So it's still not all the facts there yet. We don't know anything about the victims. We don't know what type of things they were into, but a lot of them were older. It's just this motherfucker right here, he ruined 8 lives. And then there's a 9th one who's still alive. His life is not ruined, but it's going to be he's going to deal with so much trauma. Fuck it. All immigrants. Well, not... I mean, even... Well, we're all immigrants, first of all, so fuck that shit, right? But all Asian descent and 1 Latin descent. So all non-white. But they're the threat. The immigrants are. Like, listen to the MIA song, that Paper Plane song. It's about, like, that's when he said, all I want to do is, you know, and it's about how our goofy ass, it's how Americans see immigrants. They think they just want to come over here, shoot up the joint, and take the money. And it seemed like Donald Trump heard this song and ran with it. And now, even though that motherfucker ain't nowhere near in power, nowhere near in office, he literally had a fucking legacy with this hateful bullshit. These little incel niggas really thought that he was the messiah to them, and now they're mad that he's out of power, and so they're trying to figure out ways to keep his bullshit alive. Fuck him. And then, like, And this deadly ass tragedy is just, it was like a couple of weeks after that horrible video where the Uber driver from Nepal, he's Nepalese, and I think he's only been for like 8 years maybe in America, and he was in Las Vegas. And he was driving these 3 little bitches around, and one of them with the worst fake eyelashes ever, she coughing on him and shit, and is saying, yeah, she's like, yeah, nigga, what the fuck? And it's like, bitch, you ain't even black, so you don't even need to be saying that shit. And also, you a bitch. Like, what are you doing? Why are you treating this guy so disrespectfully because he wants you to wear a mask? And then her friends were 2 black girls. And it's like, y'all fucking know better. Like, why you think that shit's okay for her to just y'all just ganging up on this man? He ain't bothering anybody. And, he had a thick accent, so they just thought it was really cool to just make fun of him for that. I mean, but of course, just like with 8 victims of Asian descent, one I think was white, but they all died. And they're not even saying it was a hate crime. Because I guess it's, like I said, it's too much paperwork for them or something. They just don't want to call hate crime a hate crime. It's like, this shit was so obviously full of hate. And nothing more. And it was targeted. Just like the bitches from the Uber shit. They're trying to say that wasn't a hate crime. They're like, nah. It's like, oh, so people just, all right, so it's just random acts of hate. Okay. It's not just targeted bullshit. People are like that. Like, when they see that their driver is going to be someone who, like, when they're like, oh, okay, people do that shit all the time. I had to call someone out about that last time. I was like, hey man, just chill, man. He's like, you right. I was like, fucking chill out. And so you gotta call them motherfuckers out. You can't be letting that shit slide. That's a good idea. That's a good example of boundaries. But like, yo, man, don't be doing that shit. It's like, if you're like that, be like that. Just don't be like that around me. Actually, I'm not gonna be around you, period, because you gonna be on your fuck shit and you're not gonna learn. But I don't need to be around that shit. I called you out already. If you don't want to change, that's on you. Bye. So fuck that shit. So yeah, I'm really, really disgusted, and I'm really disappointed in the media because they're just so complicit in this shit. I just can't believe that they had a story that quickly about this little nigga. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And he just had a bad day. You know what I do when I have a bad day? Other than masturbate it away? Masturbate the pain away. No. Yeah, I do have a really bad temper. I have a very, very bad temper that I make myself sound like Tasmanian devil, but it's very Bruce Banner-ish, you know what I'm saying? And that, like in the first Avenger, he's like, what's my secret? I'm always angry. That's me. So there's a few things I do. Like I said, I already mentioned the first one, but also, and if you're not into that shit, find something else, bruh. Like, not everything's for everybody, but I do know one thing. I'm not going to take it out on anybody. I'm not going to go up to somebody's place of employment in a pandemic and then shoot them up. Are you fucking kidding me? Because it's like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to go to a Jamaican restaurant and be like, you know what? God damn it, man. If I can't have your fine ass, I'm just going to have to shoot up you and everybody who look like you. Like, what does that mean? What are we doing? And no, I'm not saying I fetishize Jamaicans. I'm just saying it's like, you gonna shoot up what you can have? No way. So, ooh. I'd edit it out, but fuck it. That J Exotica. But yeah, see how maybe that's all we need to do, man. The shit's getting legal. Just smoke some shit, man. Like, why you so upset? I don't understand that shit. You trying to talk about I'm fighting temptation, but it's like, I don't recall you being in that movie starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyonce. So, actually, were you even alive when that shit happened? Like, what the fuck is going on? What's going on with these young little white niggas, man? Why they so fucking mad? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the world is yours, like, legitimately. Oh, speaking of, congrats to Nas for beating out Freddie Gibbs and Jay Electronica for Rap Album of the Year. The Grammys was cool, I guess. Anyway, I am done talking about this only because I can continue to talk about this for a very long time, and I just don't feel like being too upset. So I'm going to go into the brick because I still want to be upset, just on a different thing. No, so I just found out via Kev on Stage, he made a really good point in that how is this the first time United Negro College Fund has its first, like, he's the first black chair of United Negro College Fund Board of Directors. So he's a chair of Board of Directors, as in of all the shit that gets all the shit going with the funding and all the shit. So March 11th, Atlanta business and civic leader Milton Jones Jr. was elected chair of United Negro College Fund Board of Directors, becoming the first African American to hold that position. And then there's a whole list of all these white ass former chairs. He is the first black person to hold that position. United Negro College Fund. It was like, yeah, Lou Rawls, we had him involved, but nah, he wasn't involved. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's a total brick. Like, fuck that shit. What are we doing? We had these white ass people in charge of this the whole time, and I'm just finding this out. Shout out to Kev on Stage man. I'm gonna play a little bit.
I'm on Twitter and I see everybody talking about the UNCF, and I'm like, what you talking about UNCF for? And they said, oh, okay. Apparently on March 11th, Milton H. Jones Jr. was elected chair of the United Negro College Fund Board of Directors, becoming the first African American to hold that position. And I said, hold on, what? The first African American of the United Negro College Fund? So I went to the website. I said, okay, who else was doing that? Who was uniting the Negroes? Who was uniting the Negroes if not a Negro at the board? Okay, because maybe I just don't understand. So I read up, and apparently William F. Stager was who was replaced. Look at Will Stays. This Will Stays. I said, hold on now, what? And in this, on the website, it says
Can't really see. I don't know why.
Previous board chairs include John D. Rockefeller III.
Yeah. And then it goes down the list of all them white ass niggas who look like they say Negra. They look like they say United Negra College Fund. Like United Negra College Fund. That's what they were calling it. What the fuck are we doing? Why did y'all put Lou Rawls on that commercial? He was the reason why I believed in it. He was like, hello everyone, I'm Lou Rawls. Hey man, I fuck with Lou Rawls, man. He got that song called Natural Man. He's like, hey man, I don't want no gold watch working for the man for 50 years. They ain't something to celebrate. That's just a show. That's like a sign of me being a chump for 50 years. Like that type of shit. That Lou Rawls. Whole time. White ass hand. That's how it. We got these white hands puppeteering puppeteering the movement of the black people. I ain't into that shit. Let's move on to the switch, because this is what I'm into, and I'm actually real proud of her. So Megan Thee Stallion, and I've used her as a brick before. She cause yeah, that was back. It was like literally around this time when I gave her a brick because she was talking about on Instagram Live how, like, sucking on a lollipop, literally, how she doesn't, she was just talking about how she doesn't have a record deal, and it's because she didn't read the contract, and she was trying to get out of the previous record deal she had. And so she was real confident in her ignorance, like, yeah, well, I mean, I just didn't read my contract. Well, now, you know, after that, she got signed on with Rockefeller or Rock Nation. Then, you know, she had some more hits, and then with the WAP, and then she had misses with Tory Lane's bullshit, and so shooting her in the foot. But she bounced back from that shit too, and now she got 3 Grammys, bitch. And she bounced back from when she was dating G-Eazy. I don't know if that was real or not, but it was brief, I guess. She was dating G-Eazy, but now she is with the total opposite of G-Eazy. Go ahead, girl. Party. What up? Good for y'all. Y'all beautiful. Y'all beautiful couple. Congrats. So I really fuck with it. I'm really happy for her. I mean, she got to perform on the Grammys, so. But yeah, the fact that she won, and she won with Beyonce, so Houston representing, baby. Yeah. So shout out to Megan Thee Stallion, man. And then let's see. The highlight reel of today is let's see. I'm like Cooley High Harmony. Shout out to Boys II Men. But yeah, I saw Cooley High. So I saw that for the first time like when I was like 12 or 13, and I was like, dang, I'll never forget this movie. This is great. I rewatched it for the first time since then, over this past weekend, and it was so damn good, man. The writing was good, the direction was good. It was written and directed by Eric Monte, who is based on, you know, he played the colonel or general on Different World. He used to be married to Aretha Franklin. He was the lead guy. He was that was pretty much Eric Monte's character, and it's basically the original Boys in the Hood, and that it's about, you know, just some dudes, some young boys from the hood of Chicago in the 60s, doing Motown era 60s. So so it's a really dope soundtrack. I thought this whole time they were in Detroit because it was all Motown, but nope, Chicago. And so they were just getting down, you know, just smoking and having a good time. And then one bad event leads to one really tragic event, and then in the end, of course, they have like he went on to do this. She went on to be a librarian and have 3 kids in Atlanta. So also another thing, you know, they always end up in Atlanta because it's like Atlanta is like, it's the Black Mecca, and we get all the people from all the cities. Yay. So yeah, Cooley High was really good. It was 1975 when it came out, like summer of 75. It was really good. It was really, really solid. And I highly recommend it. And oh yeah, because the guy who played Coach Cheese, I was a big fan of him because he played Boom Boom Washington on Welcome Back, Kotter. I just thought he was so funny. Hey, Mr. Kotter. And he just it was another thing. Like, I mean, the Sweat Hogs was just like the kids from Cooley High, so he played that role really well. And a lot of us also know him as Joe Jackson from The American Dream. When I saw him as Joe Jackson, like, why they do that to him, man? But he kind of did look like him, so I was like, dang. But yes, really, it was just such a good movie. But then it just gets sad, and then I'm like, damn. And then Hard to Say Goodbye. Whew, good song. So yeah, highly recommend. Also, going into the overtime, the reason why I was able to see that is because I'm trying out Criterion Channel. I've always wanted to get it, but I'm like, do I really want it? It's definitely, because it's like Criterion Collection's for like the super duper nerdy cinephiles, man. Like you are opting to buy a very expensive DVD or Blu-ray just because it has a big booklet full of essays and facts and figures. But also, you're not just buying it for that. They do a really great job of film restoration, and there's always some films that, I mean, are hard to find. Just like, so Cooley High, you know, they showcased it on Criterion Channel, but also I got to see Agnes Varda, who's one of my all-time favorite directors, and she passed recently, like 2 years ago. She did a really beautiful short documentary. It was only like 28, 29 minutes long of the Black Panthers, and it was so well done. And it was the documentary of in Oakland, where the Panthers organized a like just a mass gathering, like a little festival of like music and fun, and like everybody came out. It was like thousands of people came out, and it was to raise funds to get Huey Newton out. I always Huey Lewis, good lord. But anyways, Huey Newton, they were, you know, free Huey off of the pigs. Like, they were serious. They were doing all this shit, man. And so and what was really cool is that they interviewed Huey Newton while he was in jail, and it was a very great lens. She did a great job with it because she was doing it it was a global interview, because, you know, you always have because it was always the American media that portrayed the Panthers, and you had to rely on us to portray the Panthers in a positive, flattering light. Well, it was really dope because Agnes Varda, you know, she was doing it where it's like, she did it with an empathetic and sympathetic lens. She's like, I know that you're getting chastised hard in the country you live in, but we, in France, we understand what you're going through, because they were having their own civil unrest there. So, so it was a very intimate lens, and it was, and we never get to see them in this light. Like, I've never seen an interview with Huey Newton like this. You always see him, you know, like firing it up, you know, like it's used in a way where it's like, oh, this is why he was jailed. He incited riots. But this is like, he is the reason for a movement that is very significant for the people. And it was fucking dope as shit. I highly recommend that shit. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where they gave me like 6 weeks pretty much. And I'm like, yeah, I might end up, it might be another one of them payments, and them monthly payments, because Criterion Collection, I buy their DVDs during, as I call it, Christmas, when they have their 50% off flash sale. But the channel, they are showing, they have more black films on there and it's a lot of films that I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this in a minute. But so yeah, shout out to Criterion Collection channel. But I highly recommend the Panthers documentary. It won't take long to watch still. Excuse me. I mean, you know, it don't take just 30 minutes of your day. Watch that shit. So, going into music, apparently Silk Sonic is the new wave to ride right now. It's a really large mountain of cocaine. I mean, excuse me, it's the duet of Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars. So, no, it sounds really good. Like, it reminds me of like, from what I've heard, it reminds me of the No Worries song Suede. And it's like, if Suede, it might be like a whole album of just Suede, different type of like velvety ass R&B type songs. So, I mean, it's cool. It sounds good. They're talented. They are. So it's going to be interesting to see If they're gonna do a full length album or an EP, it'll be dope though. Regardless, also new single that I have enjoyed is Crumb. They have a new album, a new song out rather, called Trophy. And I stumbled upon this, like Spotify recommended a song from their album back in 2017, a song called Lock It. I really fuck with that song. But this song right here that's out, it's really good. So yeah, check it out. Crumb, Trophy. That's pretty much this week's playlist. Just listen to that. Also, I want to give a shout out to black owned business Snatched Flames. Literally the best braid bonnet ever. I am so stoked about how amazing, because like a lot of these stores, man, I mean, a lot of these black owned stores, like, grateful as we are that we have the hair stores, a lot of them aren't black owned. So a lot of the times they don't have 100% all that we need for, like, especially for braids, mainly for the braids section. Like, they do have a lot that, but the hair is usually not the best to get from there. And they also, like, their selection of braid bonnets, they just never work for me. And one day I was just on Instagram, and it was an ad, and I never really pay attention to Instagram ads, but this one caught my eye, and I was like, ooh, look at that bonnet. Oh, this is a braid bonnet. And I looked at it, and I got more info on it, and I went to the site, and I saw all the reviews, and they were all 5 stars, and I just was like, let me go for it. And they had a sale on top of that. I got it literally within a week, because I shipped from Cali, so I got it within like 5 days. And them shits are the best. So people, if for anyone who have really long braids, or for men and women who have really long locks, go to Snatched Flames. They'll do you right. It's satin too. I mean, it's perfect. You just put it on, and then you put it all in the other part. It's like two, like the top part, and then you put the rest in the little pocket, and then it becomes like a nice little bonnet, and it all stays in there. So shout out, baby. Shout out to EMF. I think I'm saying it right. Yeah, EMEF. I think it's right off the belt line, and it's right in front of, like, it's right diagonal, like across the street from the Just Be a Good Person mural. Really, really, really dope time this past Sunday. Shout out to my homie / roomie, Dirty Martinez. He was the DJ. And then shout out to the Just Be a Good Person peeps. And then For the Locals and Chilio. Like, they all, they pulled up. And then, yeah. Well, it was a pop-up for the Locals, and then just shout out to Chilio because they collaborated together. They probably will do more. And then just shout out to all the City in the Woods. Shout out to them. Shout out to because they also, those are all Atlanta-based streetwear and designers. So, and then shout out to Civil Rights. They have an album. They just gave the release date for their upcoming album. It's April 1st. So same day I'll be returning to stand-up comedy. So yay, cheers to debuts and returns. And then just shout out to everybody out there grinding, man, doing your thing. I have been Amber of Amberland. I will catch you next time. I holla.